Hello, my name is Stacey, and you've probably heard my voice quite a bit in the Learning Reiki with Lilli DeCair series. I'm off camera, I'm operating the camera, I'm editing the videos, and I'm a former student of Lilli's. I learned Reiki from her back in like 95, 96. Have been working with it ever since, became a Reiki master. And so occasionally she has me kind of co-teach some of the courses a little bit. As I was looking over the videos, I realized we didn't really have a good example of Lilli giving Reiki as of yet. We do have the intention at some point of shooting a video that shows her giving Reiki to someone so that people who are following her series can see the way that she does it. But I thought until then, it would be good to create a short video that kind of gives you an overview of how you can give Reiki to yourself so that you can practice with it. Quick disclaimer, by no means is this video definitive about how to give Reiki to yourself. There are as many methods as there are practitioners. I think everybody finds their own way of working with the symbols. After I trained with Lilli back in the 90s, I lived in San Francisco, New York, and London. I was part of different Reiki groups out there, and I soon discovered that everybody's teacher taught them Reiki slightly differently. Or they had different ways of thinking about giving Reiki to someone or themselves. So what I've come up with is really a composite of all of those methods that I've learned. What Lilli teaches is a composite of all of the methods that she learned. And something she says a lot through this series is that source, universal life force energy, Reiki, whatever name you want to call it by, knows your intention. Is showing up for you. There's no way to get it wrong. There's no way to get it right, which could be a little frustrating for people who want really definitive. There is only the path, and this is the path. Reiki it doesn't quite conform to that. It's an energy that we all have within us. An image that came to me as I was meditating on it is that there is within the kernel of a seed this life force energy that is willing it to grow. And if you put it in soil and water it and provide it with sunlight, it's going to grow. And even sometimes if you don't provide it with everything that it needs, this life force within it is so strong that it will urge it forward. For me, that's the energy of Reiki that I'm contacting. And as I'm doing Reiki on myself or someone else, I'm really aligning myself and connecting myself in a meditative way with that energy. And this energy exists within all sorts of different healing modalities. This is just one way in to activating, aligning with, and accessing this energy. So that's a little bit of my ethos on what I'm doing. In terms of giving Reiki to myself, I really draw heavily from a couple of different influences. The first is obviously Lilli, everything that Lilli taught me. The second is when I was a student with Lilli, she introduced me to a book, and I think it was called Reiki Healing Yourself by Marcia Burek. And along with that book, there was a fabulous CD set that is still available on Amazon and through other sellers. And she has beautiful music playing, and it is an audio guide through giving Reiki to yourself. So over the last 20 plus years, I have listened a lot to that CD and followed her system. So what I'm about to do really borrows heavily on that. Okay, so giving Reiki to yourself. The first bit of advice I would give, regardless of it's Reiki on yourself or Reiki on another, is just wash your hands, make sure you're nice and clean. You're not bringing any scents or any things into the space that will be distracting to yourself or to another. I personally love to have music playing while I'm doing Reiki on myself or someone else. I find that music just really centers me and aligns me faster than anything else. So spa music that you would get a massage to, finding those playlists on Spotify or Pandora or whatever music streaming service you have, creating playlists, instrumental music, anything that allows you to get into the receptive zone and out of the thinking and doing mindset and into the receiving, healing, aligning mindset. So washing hands, playing some nice music. I like to burn some candles. A lot of people like aromatherapy. If I'm doing Reiki on someone else, I might bring in a bunch of different essential oils and let them pick a scent that they really like and dab it maybe under the nostrils or on the wrists or somewhere where you're having kind of a full sensory experience of being hyper present, so that you can find your way into the receptive zone pretty easily. So first is just washing your hands. Second is setting the stage, whatever helps you to get comfortable, wearing comfortable clothing, finding a position that's really comfortable in a space where hopefully you won't be disturbed. And then the next thing that I do is just breathing, just connecting to my breath. Now, the easiest way for me to do that is I'll take one hand and put it on my heart. I'll take the other hand and I will put it on my belly. And I just imagine that my hands are kind of like leaves that are resting on the top of a pond. And the inhalation, they're rising up on the ebb and flow of the breath. And on the exhale, they're resting back down. So it's resting up and resting down. And I just sync up. I'll be listening to the music. I'll be breathing in the beautiful essential oils. I'll be connecting with my hands, just rising and falling with my breath cycles. And breath cycles, there might be some practitioners who really encourage going for deep breath. That can be very meditative. For me, I like to just observe the ebb and flow the way that it occurs. So there might be some breath cycles that are high and fast and some that are low and deep. And I'm just staying with the cycles, not trying to control or manipulate where I feel them or the length or the tempo, but just letting the breath come and go as it wants to. And then as I'm doing that, I might do a body scan if I really need to. I might stretch first, kind of move my body around so that I can release any extra holding or tension. So stretching can be part of it, stretching and breathing. Eventually, because I'm going into a space of semi-stillness, I might do a body scan where I start at my feet and just imagine that the feet are softening and the toes are softening and the ankles are softening up through the calves and the knees and the thighs and the pelvis and the belly and the spine and the chest and the shoulders and the arms and the hands and the fingers and the neck and the face softening and the forehead softening and even the scalp softening. Sometimes it's nice some people like to have images with that. So I might imagine that the sun is coming out from behind some clouds and that the sun rays are slowly moving up my body and encouraging them to just relax and release as I am in tune with my breath cycle. As I'm doing that, and I might talk a client through this as well. I might do the exact same process with them of have them put their hand on their belly and hand on their tummy and just connecting with breath and talk them through connecting with breath as the music is playing and they have essential oils that they're working with. And then imagining it, talking them through softening each part of their body and breathing into those spaces and allowing release and relaxation to come. Now, as I'm doing that on myself, and as I'm doing it on a client, I start thinking the first symbol in Lilli's series, which is Reiki, the word Reiki itself. And the way that she's really translated that is Rei is the radiant energy of the sun, and ki to universal life energy. It's also in some traditions pronounced chi, so really your life force. So this is connecting with your life force, the radiance, the beauty, the power, the unconditional love, the healing. And so as I'm breathing and releasing my body and listening to the music and smelling the essential oils, I'm also starting to think Reiki, Reiki. And as I'm thinking Reiki, I'm also thinking of what is my intention for this session, either with myself or with a client. Now, if I'm doing this with a client, I might just hover my hands over their body and be thinking Reiki, Reiki, Reiki. Before a session with my client, I might ask them, do you have an intention for this session? Is there something you'd really like me to focus on? I might also ask them, I do hands-off Reiki personally. I don't touch bodies. So I might just mention to them, talk them through. I'll be having my hands hovering above your body. Are there areas that you would like me to not be going over? So I can talk them through their body and just make sure that everything is consensual and comfortable so that they feel safe, that they can relax and they're not going, oh, her hands are really close to my chest right now. This is suddenly making me go on high alert. That I can make sure my hands are very far above certain areas or just avoid them, and with my intention the Reiki is going there. Okay, so yep, that's a quick little overview. Calling on Reiki. I'm thinking to myself, do I have specific intentions? It's not necessary to do that. Sometimes you just have a sense of what you want and you don't need to put it into words. But if it is helpful to just name for yourself how you'd like to feel once the session is over, what your highest hope and wish would be for how the experience that you would have of being inside your own body and the world after the session, that's really useful. Okay, so then I'm doing the Reiki. Intentions as a way of settling. And then for me, when I'm doing Reiki on myself, I just start with the eyes. So this is how Marsha Burek has her people do it, is taking the palms of your hands, placing them over your eyes, and then you can either have the hands overlapping over the third eye, or you can have the hands straight up and down. And now you're just breathing, and you are, just as when your hands were on your body, you're just tuning into the sensation of the hands over this part of your body. And I describe it as the hands are listening hands, they're healing hands. They're gentle. We don't need to put a lot of pressure. In fact, you can do it above your body. You don't have to do it on the body. And same with clients. I do this because I like the feeling of the warmth of my hands over my eyes. The warmth encourages them to release. You may notice as you start really working with Reiki that your hands get warm and you can feel energy, vibration and energy starting to pour through your hands. So that's something just to be aware of. And so I will keep my hands here or here for as long as I feel that they want to be there, which might be really quick some days. It might be that I want to spend the entire session just right there. As you have your hands there, Marsha Burek talks about our third eye chakra is right there. So if you're interested in chakra systems, you can really tune into and breathe into your sense of what the third eye chakra is, the insight, the instinct, the intuition, psychic connection, new perspectives. I also just like to think of healing my eyes, So sometimes mantras will come to me, things, let my eyes see the world through the eyes of Source, or heal the way that I see, heal my vision, the way that I perceive life and I receive life. So anything that comes to you here, anything you want to meditate on, any area of your body that you want to focus on healing, you can. Through this series, Lilli's going to be teaching you different Reiki symbols. Each one of the symbols connects with a different sort of healing power. So you might find as you're over the eyes that one of the symbols comes into your mind that you really want to work with. Maybe it's removing trauma or drama. And if that's the one that came to you, then you would do Seiheki 2, little preview if you haven't seen that video yet. And I might just be saying Seiheki 2, Seiheki 2. I might be drawing it in my mind's eye, or I might literally take my finger out and start drawing it in the air in front of me. Seiheki 2. And then I just rest and breathe. In some moments I'm in a no mind sort of space. I'm just receiving and feeling. Other times thoughts and images or words or mantras or phrases or symbols might come into my mind that I work with. And again, I just stay there for as long as I feel that my hands want to be there. Then the next area that Marsha Burek has people go to is one hand on either side of the head with the fingers overlapping over the top of the head. One thing that I was going to say before that I'll just quickly go back to is when I'm starting to get centered before I start doing Reiki on myself, I sometimes will use another symbol that is the final symbol in Lilli's Reiki series, which is Daiko Mio 2, aligning with the mind of the divine. So as I'm setting my intention and I'm beginning to call in the Reiki energy, and I'm doing my body scan and releasing and breathing, I might also say Daiko Mio too, just as a way of I'm calling in a power greater than myself, and any higher powers that you might believe in, guardian angels, whatever images, whatever nurturing figures you work with, soul group spirits. I mean, you can call in any healing energies that you want to for this session. Yeah. So, all right, so now we go to the top of the head. So hand on either side of the head, fingers overlapping. This will be the next space. And again, I'll just sit and breathe. With this one, Marsha Burak will say your crown chakra. So your connection with the divine, your ability to receive guidance easily and effortlessly. So I might be thinking about the crown chakra and imagining white light, any images that come to you that help you connect with this part. I might literally be thinking about joining the right hemisphere of my brain and the left hemisphere of my brain. And neurologically, having the sensation, this bilateral sensation of the hands on either side of the body, does do a lot to connect those synapses, because they have to communicate with each other to receive the sensation, bilateral sensation at the same time. So that can be just in and of itself quite powerful. This is also a place where I might think of healing my thoughts, the things that I think, any narratives in my mind that are unhelpful or negative, take me out of alignment with source. So this is another one where I might use a symbol that's for removing chaos or trauma, or old karmic debt or forgiveness. Any of these symbols you'll learn through this series might come into my mind here. And again, hands will stay here for as long as they feel. And then Marsha Burak has her people put the hands on the back of the head, right where the brain stem is. So the brain stem that's fight, flight, that's lizard brain. That's the part of us that's constantly scanning for danger and am I safe, am I not, do I need to run, fight, flight, flirt, fawn, all those different techniques. So Hanshaze Shonen 1 is what I might do here, because that's really healing old ancient storylines. So I might really focus on if there's any trauma that you've picked up along your life path, things that you've inherited from your ancestors or ancestral line. This is a really good healing place for that. And it can just be nice to have your head cushioned by your hands as you're laying there and softening and releasing and doing some Reiki. So those are the head places that I generally visit when I'm doing Reiki on myself. The next place that I come to is the throat chakra. If I'm laying on my bed, I just tend to do this, hands on either side of the head. You can also put hands here. I mean, that feels like choking to me, so I don't like that one as much, but finding something that's comfortable for you, putting the hands. And for me, this is where I really focus on my throat chakra, my voice in the world, owning my voice, speaking my truth, standing my sacred ground, not needing to puff up or push, not retreating or shrinking, but standing my sacred ground, as Brene Brown will say. And the color blue is associated with this chakra, so oftentimes I'll just be imagining blue and the spinning chakra circle that's just spinning around and releasing any places where I've been holding my own voice back, not speaking my truth, masking my identity, any of these kinds of things, and any symbols that come into my mind here. The next space Marsha Burak will do is she does a little bit of the upper chest, just above the heart, and the hands over each other. And in this space, she's thinking about connecting with others, sending love to others, especially those that you have a challenging connection with. When you think of their names instantly, it's built up, worked up energy that takes you out of alignment with source. Sometimes just sending love back along through that cord can be really useful. Another symbol that you'll learn in this series is Raku 1, which is masculine principle, and it's literally cutting away things that no longer serve us, especially relationships where you feel overly responsible or resentful or So we just cut those away and we replace it with a sense of love and light. So any symbols that come here, again, hands here. The next place is just going to be the heart itself, middle of the chest. And this is a space where she encourages you to think about love for yourself. The color green she associates with this space. Anything that you want to think of with heart chakra, unconditional love, loving yourself, loving life, loving source. And if in any of these areas, if your client or you are experiencing physical issues with that physical anatomical space, heart murmurs or anything like that, this can be a powerful place to just send the intention of love. On a very basic level, if you're experiencing a lot of fear because you're having heart issues with your physical heart, just sending love to that area, it changes the narrative and the experience, because you're not thinking of this space with fear. You're holding it in a space of love, which in and of itself can be very healing. Okay, so we've got the heart. And if you're into the chakral systems, then we can come over here to the solar plexus. This is the space of your willpower, your identity in the world, knowing who you are and going after what you want. Lovely symbol. You can put any symbols here that you want to. And then just bringing the hands down to the sacral chakra, space of creativity. And then the hands can go down to the root chakra. So I tend to just do a scan through the chakras on the front of my body. Marcia Burak also talks about going along the back of your body. Different practitioners have lots of different ways of doing it. You can also just simply put your hands wherever it feels like it needs a little love, and you don't have to go through a system. Then as soon as I'm done and I feel like I've done enough, then I just go into like a little prayer of gratitude, like, thank you, Source. Thank you, my own life source. I'll thank myself for showing up for myself in a healing way. I will thank Reiki energy and life force energy. And if you are kind of have a vision of like a higher power or universe or God or goddess or any of these things, you can thank them. If you've called in any healing powers, angels or protectors or soul groups or anything like that, you can also thank them. So this is just a moment where I sit in gratitude again. You can just say namaste to yourself in life, whatever you want to do. Then Lilli has us feather down ourselves. I literally have a feather wand, and so I might just kind of take it in and do this above myself. You could also, burn sage or have crystals, like whatever helps you to connect with your things. And I'll just kind of do this down my body, that anything that I've released through the series of working on myself is gone, and then I'm done. Lilli will say drink tons of water, because just like a physical massage, when you're doing an energetic massage, you're releasing a lot. Water can be fabulous. So I just want to quickly describe how this might translate working with a client. So the same process in the beginning, asking them in the very beginning, why are you wanting Reiki today? Do you have any hopes for it? Are there any parts of your body that you'd really like help with, or emotional things that are going on, or mental things that are going on? So get very clear. And then I will have them usually lay down on a massage table or their own bed or somewhere that I can easily access them, but they can be very comfortable. Then I'll have them put their hands on heart, hand on belly, breathe, connect with themselves, their breath. I'll talk them through a body scan, an aromatherapy if they want it, and music if they'd like it. If they want to hold crystals in their hands while we're doing Reiki, they can, anything that they want. And I can even ask them if you have any guardian angels that you work with, or guides or things that you want to call in to hold the space and work along with me. And you can always work on yourself as I'm working on you as well. It's kind of the power of prayer unified, lots of collective minds working together for your highest and best. And then I will tend to hover my hands above their body as I'm calling in Reiki. But as I'm doing Reiki on them, I'll also be thinking the Daikomyo 2. I want to align with higher power and source, align with the divine on behalf of this person, calling in the Reiki energy, letting my hands hover. And I don't tend to, I have the template where I can go over eyes, head, throat, heart, down through the chakra system if I want a template. But sometimes as I'm hovering my hands, they just seem to be pulled in one direction or another. I equate it to when you have two magnets and you're pushing them together, the opposite ends together, there's a point where they're just really, there's an equilibrium of force. And that's what I'm looking for as I have my hands above. Sometimes you have to get really close to the body to just feel that edge. And sometimes you're going really far away from the body. And I just let my hands hover where it feels like they naturally want to sit. And then I let my hands move as I'm working on them to wherever I feel like they want to go. I'm breathing within myself. I'm allowing symbols or images or intentions to come through me, and I'm not judging them. I'm just kind of allowing them to come. One thing that feels important for me is that I never try to diagnose what I think is happening or create a narrative around what I'm experiencing. So let's say that I'm doing this and my hands are above their heart. And I'm feeling a lot of energy coming, and the hands just don't want to move from that spot. The mind, likes to make meaning out of things, and so it might start, they're heartbroken, or they must have a heart condition or something. I try to just release those thoughts as they come through. It's not my job to analyze or to try and figure out or create a narrative or diagnose on any level. It's just my job to be there offering this, witnessing this, following my own instinct and intuition. So I'll go over their body for as long as it feels like there's energy that wants to come, or as long as we've pre-agreed for the session to be. Then at the very end, I will take my little wand and I will feather them down. And then I might, if they're comfortable with it, I'll check before the session, but I might just hold their feet at the very end. So holding the feet and getting that sensation of the feet being held can be very grounding for clients, and can allow them to integrate and release even more. And also the physical feeling of hands on feet can start to bring them back into the present moment. Then I might tell them just to wiggle their toes and wiggle their fingers and wiggle their body around to start to bring them back in the space. And I might even talk them through a meditation where they're tuning into their senses, like receive the sounds in the space, kind of beginning to have a visceral sense of the space around them. I tell them to flutter their eyelashes open and just start to look around and let their eyes fall on things that are interesting for them as they're continuing to breathe. And then I might even have them tactily touch their own hands just to bring themselves back. They can wait as long as they want. It's nice to have a glass of water with maybe some lemon or cucumber or something like that that's waiting for them, and give that to them, just like after a massage, a physical massage. And I give them a little bit of time to come to. And then at the very end, I'll just ask them, is there anything you want to share about your experience? They might have questions for me. What did you experience? What did you feel? I tend to avoid that because I don't want to put my own narrative on their experience, because I might have been feeling heart, but they were like, oh my gosh, I was thinking about when I was 6 and I went into a vivid daydream about being 6 again. And, I would miss the opportunity to hear. And as they articulate what they learned, they get even more clarity about it. If I start putting my own narrative on their experience, that might just hijack deep wisdom that they were receiving for themselves that I would have no way of knowing about. So I tend to really try to ask more open-ended questions. I'd love to hear about your experience. Were there discoveries or images, or how are you feeling now? And that's usually going to be the end of the session. Okay, so I hope that was helpful in any way. Namaste.